Kia ora. How's it going? Welcome along to State of It. I am Morgan Williams and I'm joined by Zach, Mark, Sasha, Emma and Moses. Thank you so much for checking out this channel. Now, this episode we're going to be talking about the state of live music in Christchurch, particularly in this episode, up-and-coming bands, how the earthquake has kind of reshaped the live music scene. So Mo, as a musician yourself, what have you noticed, like, as far as change since all that time ago? Like, what sort of state are we in at the moment?
It feels positive. I think the two main things that stick out to me, the fresh talent that's coming up and coming through seem to have a far more realistic appreciation of what being a professional muso is.
Yeah, right.
They're not out getting wasted.
Yeah.
They just go and play the gig, and so there's that. And I think it's also reflected in the audiences. So younger audiences don't seem to be getting as wasted.
Really?
There's a shift in that.
Were you
within band scenes?
Were you a musician who would get wasted as a young musician?
Yeah, it was part and parcel. It was the gig, but it was the drinking. It was it was rock and roll, and that were the tail end of the original, kind of, where it was all there. Yeah, they seem to be the two main things, and obviously new venues popping up, and yeah.
Is there a place for these new bands to play?
I think there are. I think there's a lot of different moving parts and a lot of amazing initiatives, and everyone's giving it a go, and there could be more room for people bringing it all together, but I think it'll happen naturally.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I feel really optimistic.
Yeah.
There's always been great talent. There's always been good venue owners. There's always been the audience, but it's just bringing it all together.
Yeah.
I think that we're kind of in that phase now.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
That's good. Mark, what you got?
It's always shifted in waves, I've found, over the years, having been through a few eras now. It was a real slow grind post-earthquake for quite a few years.
Yeah.
But like most people saying, I feel like the scene is the most vibrant it's been in a very long time. Since kind of like, the golden era of the late 90s, mid-late 90s in Christchurch.
Yeah.
And I think, there's some cool new bars around, and there's an opportunity that wasn't there for the last few years back.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because I always think of what I was thinking of when I was thinking of live music as the basis. I was thinking of just bands, but we've obviously we've got DJs as well playing all over the place as well. Has that been? Because I'm just trying to think like pre-earthquake. There's like the Concrete Club and places like this, a bit of a gritty sort of a scene. Is it sort of like that anymore? Or has it gone clean like the rock stars?
Look, it feels a little bit cleaner. I think that there's a bit more of a desire for places that are a bit more open and friendly. Clubs from the 90s were amazing, but when you kind of go back to what that club is now, it's a bit darker, doesn't necessarily feel as inviting. I think there are more spaces that are kind of allowing dance music that don't have to necessarily be a 5 in the morning club.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Mark talks about the 90s. What we're seeing is kids, well, not kids, but I guess young adults now, playing their parents' records that their parents were collecting in the 90s.
Wow.
So I think we're seeing that next gen of the parents that came through that golden era of music, and they're kind of taking in their parents' footsteps. So it feels anyway.
Yeah. So cleanliness seems to be a common theme. Like, what's changed? What do you reckon why are kids so much more into
just
a happy?
Like everyone, everyone's a lot more emotionally sensitive and caring about their fellow person and stuff like that. I think it actually is just education, And
right.
all of us oldies have to keep up.
Yeah, totally.
Could be social media as well. Back in the day, like a bit of antisocial behaviour. So, Gavin's got a bucket on his head and he's being outrageous. It's people weren't filming back then, and it wasn't getting broadcast out to your family and employees.
Now you can be held accountable for your actions.
So people are being more careful.
Maybe that's a contributing factor.
I would have thought that bands might go crazier because for that exact reason, that they would get
to show off.
Like, oh my god. Although it's pretty hard to do anything really shocking that's not illegal nowadays. Like a lot of shocking stuff has been done. Yeah.
So this can't be shocked easily these days.
Well, yeah, it's quite true. Yeah. Two girls. Sash, so you've got your school. The name of your school is? So what are you noticing with kids coming through there? Are they because I know within media, a lot of kids that go through TV, I just want to be a director. Like, everyone wants to be a director. So do you have the same kind of theme within music as well? Like, I just want to be a rock star or a lead guitarist. Or what do you find your students are into at the moment?
I think, yeah, definitely the students are, I think a lot of the time I've got to reflect on, you know, the reason why I started Soul and, you know, that to help students on a pathway into the, you know, have a career in music. And there's still like a lot of things that they don't know. Like I'm about to go to an interview now and it's just a radio thing, real casual, but for all of them they're just like, this is like the biggest thing ever. And you know, just remembering that these small steps, like teaching them these small steps are like really important part of it. And I think a lot of, it's interesting what you say about the social media thing. I think a lot of the students are actually quite reserved. They're really keen on a career, but they're quite afraid.
Yeah.
And I think that's still in society is like, you know, parents and different factors that come into play are still afraid to make that leap into, well, let's do this music thing.
Yeah.
So I'm finding actually we deal with a lot of like, you know, self-esteem and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of just confidence building to actually be like, hey, look, you can actually be that rock star if you really want to do it. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm finding.
Yeah.
It's just trying to not sell the dream to everyone, because not everyone's has the ability to do it, but be real about it, but also help those ones that are like got the serious talent.
Yeah,
Could actually go the whole way.
So if there's any sort of like younger person watching this, you know, kid, whatever, DJ, band, doesn't really matter, anyone that wants to do live performance in Christchurch, is there room for them, or are we a saturated market?
There's so much room.
There's always room.
So much room. But I think the key is coming to it with the right attitude. I mean, it's the biggest thing I think I've noticed through my time in the music industry is the egos sometimes that it can curate within someone.
Yeah.
And the best thing about this younger generation at the moment is that the people that are really getting the light shone on them are the ones that understand that you've got to work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reality is that people know
ethic.
that.
And be a good person and be excitable and supportive of your peers and your colleagues as well. I think that's what is the most awesome thing about the Christchurch music scene, as well as I think there really is a culture within artists across all genres that we all kind of support each other, and there's no snobbery, well, at least in my experience or my opinion, like no one's like feels like they're competing against each other. It's just hey, let's all lift up and just all do this thing. So there's definitely room for more.
Yeah, and that could be through shared collective trauma, which is quite specific. Because we're all literally culturally rebuilding as the city rebuilds.
Yeah.
And so that makes us really unique from Wellington to Auckland, any other. In fact, on the planet, because it's pretty strange for a city of our size and economic impact of the country to effectively be decimated and rebuild. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are realising that you have to do it together. Like you can't just headline, do a show yourself these days. Like you can, but it's so much cooler to actually have a few more people on the headline and actually make it more of a collective. Yeah. And obviously safer, but you know.
Does it seem like with this kind of global trend towards more ethical practices that people respond to the idea of a community better? Because the music community is a community. It seems like that strengthens as more people start to take on the idea that community-focused things are actually more beneficial for everybody.
Yeah. What about this sort of like picking up what you're saying, Ian. I think the last point I was wanting to cover is like, when I think of bands out of Christchurch or acts, let's say, that have really, really blown up, I think of Shapeshifter. Who else is there? What do you think?
Zed? Wronger?
Yeah. Okay. We're going way back. So what's the next kind of big thing out of Christchurch? Like, was there any sort of scene that's happening at the moment that you?
The whole like the Butlers and like Marco Road and There's a Tuesday and stuff that kind of surf rock. They're quite most of them are based out Sumner, Redcliff's way, and there's a real like culture and genre thing happening out there. It's all taking off. Yeah, and a specific sound.
That uni sound.
Even in the voice and the delivery.
It's like beach and uni meeting each other.
University.
Yeah.
And they do the social media so well.
Yeah.
Like, it's really like totally, because Natalie Hutton came through Soul, and she was Nat Jono, and then ended up doing There is a Tuesday between Wednesday.
Such
There is a Tuesday. And like I think they're just so natural and just like so about the music and so passionate. Also, Natalie is very switched on when it comes to like marketing and all that sort of shit. She just gets it.
Mm.
So their social media and then teaming up with, I think, the brothers, the Butlers.
Yeah.
Walt.
Is that right? Yeah. And so that, it's real interesting.
They'll do like DIY content too. Like it looks like all of their music videos and
So
stuff
good.
is all done themselves,
Yeah.
but in a really like polished way.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
they're digital natives, and so if you're coming up through that space and you're naturally creative, it's like everybody is. I mean, if you look at people in their kind of 30s, typically they might have 300 to 400 friends on Facebook
Yeah.
in general, and then they put a post up, oh look at my nice breakfast, or it's nice to catch up with mum,
Yeah.
Mother's Day. You might have 20 to 30 likes, right?
Wow.
Kids these days, it's like 2003, because everyone goes to the same high school, so everyone's friends with each other.
Yeah.
And it's just the engagement is crazy because everyone's,
They'll get
it's
it.
so
Mm.
big. And
Mm.
maybe that's part of the conservative thing as well, is there's this unspoken decorum of the way you hold yourself in that space. But there's more digital etiquette in the youth than there is in us
us.
boomers who are like on stuff, the comments just like,
I don't like this.
it's like,
I don't like this. Their phone is bad.
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Wow, awesome, amazing. Hey, we'll leave it there for now, but thank you guys so much. I feel like we can talk about this topic for quite some time, but thank you all very much for your input, and thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, State of It, and stay tuned for another exciting episode of State of It. Okay, goodbye.